Hey everyone, and welcome back to our channel, where we explore timeless stories that hold powerful lessons for our modern lives. Today, we're re-diving into a beautiful tale about a wise old turtle and a lesson he learned in the most dramatic way possible. So, get comfy and let's begin. Once upon a time, nestled in a peaceful forest, there was a quiet pond shimmering under the green canopy. This pond was home to many creatures, but the most respected of them all was a wise old turtle. He was known throughout the forest for his calm demeanor and his sharp, clever mind. Animals big and small would often seek his counsel, knowing he would offer thoughtful advice. One year, however, the forest faced a great trial. A terrible drought fell upon the land. The sun, once a source of life, now seemed like a merciless eye in the sky, scorching the earth day after day. The lush green grass that carpeted the forest floor turned a brittle yellow. Worst of all, the turtles' beloved pond, the heart of their community, began to shrink. The water level dropped lower and lower, revealing cracked mud where cool water once lapped. Panic began to ripple through the pond's inhabitants. The fish and frogs, whose very lives depended on the water, cried out in despair. "The water is vanishing," they wailed. "If it disappears completely, we will all perish." The air was thick with fear and uncertainty. While the others panicked, the wise old turtle retreated into his shell, not to hide, but to think. He remained still for a long, long time, his ancient mind searching for a solution. Finally, he emerged, his eyes filled with a newfound resolve. He gathered his frightened friends and spoke in his slow, reassuring voice. "My dear friends," he said, his calmness spreading like a gentle wave, "do not lose hope. I have a plan. Far away beyond these woods, in a valley I remember from my youth, there is a great lake. A lake so vast and deep that it never runs dry. If we can find a way to get there, we will all be saved." A glimmer of hope sparked among the animals, but it was quickly followed by a new wave of despair. A small, colorful fish swam forward, his fins trembling. "But, Honored Turtle," he said sadly, "your plan is wonderful, but we are creatures of the water. We cannot walk on land as you do. How could we possibly travel all the way to this distant lake?" The other fish and frogs murmured in agreement, their hopes sinking once more. The turtle offered a comforting smile. "Do not worry your little hearts," he said gently. "I have thought of that as well. I will go and ask the storks for their help." The storks were magnificent birds, known for their long, powerful wings and, more importantly, their kind and generous hearts. The turtle made his way to the edge of the dwindling pond, where the storks often came to rest. He approached them with respect and explained the dire situation. "Dear noble storks," he began, "our home is drying up, and my friends, the fish and the frogs, are in grave danger. Their lives are tied to the water that is now forsaking us. I implore you, with your great strength and compassion, please help us. Carry my friends to the great lake in the valley. If you do this generous deed, the entire forest will sing praises of your kindness for generations to come." The storks, moved by the turtle's plea and the plight of the pond creatures, huddled together, whispering amongst themselves. After a moment, their leader turned to the turtle and nodded. "We will help," she declared. True to their word, the storks began the great rescue mission. They flew to the pond, and with their long, gentle beaks, they carefully picked up the fish and frogs, two at a time. It was an incredible sight, a living airborne bridge of hope, ferrying the desperate residents from their dying home to a new life. The storks flew back and forth, tireless and determined, until every last fish and frog was safely splashing in the cool, clear waters of the Great Lake. Finally, only the turtle remained at the edge of the muddy puddle that was once a thriving pond. It was his turn to go, but a new problem arose. The turtle, with his heavy shell and sturdy body, was far too heavy for a single stork to carry in its beak. He was too wide and awkward for even two storks to manage easily. The storks tried a few times, but it was clear they couldn't get a safe grip. Just as it seemed he might be left behind, the turtle's clever mind kicked into gear once more. "I have an idea," he exclaimed. He scurried into the nearby reeds and returned, dragging a long, sturdy stick. He presented his plan to the storks. "Each of you," he instructed, "take one end of this stick in your beak. I will bite firmly onto the middle. Together, you can carry me through the air." He then added a crucial warning, looking each stork in the eye. "But remember, this will only work if I keep my mouth clamped shut. No matter what happens, no matter what we see or hear, I must not open my mouth. Do you understand?" The storks nodded in agreement. And so the journey began. The two storks took the ends of the stick, and the turtle clamped his powerful jaws onto the center. With a great flap of their wings, they lifted off the ground and soared into the sky. It was a breathtaking experience for the turtle, who had only ever known the world from the ground. He saw the forest shrink beneath him, the trees becoming a green textured carpet. As they flew over villages and fields, people on the ground looked up in astonishment. They pointed at the sky, their faces a mixture of disbelief and amusement. Look up there," they shouted. "It's a flying turtle. How peculiar. How funny." Down on the ground, the shouts of amazement grew louder. The turtle could hear them, even from high up in the air. "A flying turtle. I've never seen anything so ridiculous." One person laughed. "Who came up with that silly idea?" Another yelled. Hearing these words, the turtle's wisdom was suddenly overshadowed by his pride. He, the clever turtle who had saved his entire community, was being called funny and silly. Anger began to bubble up inside him. He wanted to shout back down at them, to defend his honor and prove his cleverness. He completely forgot his own critical warning. He thought to himself, "I am not funny. I am the one who devised this brilliant plan. I am clever." And with that furious thought, he opened his mouth to shout, "I am clever." But the moment his jaws released their grip on the stick, gravity took over. The storks could only watch in horror as their friend plummeted from the sky. Down, down, down he fell, a green blur against the blue canvas. He saw the ground rushing up to meet him and closed his eyes, bracing for the inevitable. But fate, it seemed, had one last bit of kindness for him. He landed not on hard rock or unforgiving earth, but right in the middle of a massive, soft haystack that a farmer had piled up in a field. Poof, he disappeared into the golden straw. Shaken but unharmed, the turtle slowly crawled out of the haystack, bits of straw clinging to his shell. He looked up at the sky where the storks were circling worriedly, then looked in the direction of the distant lake. He sat there for a long moment, the foolishness of his actions washing over him. He had devised the perfect plan, saved all his friends, and engineered his own miraculous flight, only to be brought down by his own pride and inability to ignore the words of strangers. He let out a long, slow sigh, and a small, wry smile touched his lips. "Ah," he whispered to himself, a profound realization dawning on him. True wisdom isn't just about having clever ideas, it's also about knowing when to stay silent. Humbled and a little wiser, he tucked his head in, got his bearings, and began the long, slow, steady walk toward the Great Lake, finally understanding the most important lesson of his long life. What a powerful story, right? It's a fantastic reminder that sometimes the smartest thing we can do is hold our tongue, especially when our pride is on the line. Thank you so much for joining me for this tale. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that make you think. See you in the next video.